Good morning everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Unfog with Dr. Athar Parveen. So this is the 5 a.m. challenge and we are going to discuss more physics multiple choice questions which will be useful for HSTR, GPSTR, CRIS, TET and other teacher recruitment exams also. So these classes are especially being made for serious aspirants and in fact those aspirants who have joined our paid classes, because we wanted to help other aspirants also who are watching free classes. So that's why we have planned this 5 a.m. challenge series. But then after notification we are going to continue with more classes. They may be revision classes also, or they may be based on the new syllabus which will come after the notification. So all those classes will be planned for paid class aspirants. So that's why we are requesting all paid class aspirants to watch these classes seriously. Of course, aspirants who are following us in our Unfog YouTube channel for free classes, they also are invited to watch these classes. And we also request aspirants to watch our previous classes. There are plenty of classes in this YouTube channel. You need to explore the channel to watch free classes. Okay friends, on this note, let us start today's class. Today's first question is based on frictional force. So the question is, frictional force is self-adjusting force, it is a non-conservative force, it is a necessary evil. So these 3 points they have given and they have given codes. You need to choose the correct answer from these codes. Either it is option A, B, C or option D. Okay, so first let's understand what is a frictional force. See, frictional force means it is that type of a force which opposes the relative motion between two surfaces which are in contact. In the figure you can see here in the picture, the two surfaces which are in contact are the surface of the ground and the surface of the table, right? So here the boy is trying to push the table. The boy is applying the external force to the table, but then table is also opposing this motion and it is also applying little bit of force which we call as a force of friction. So if you push a box lightly, the friction will be small. But if you push that box in a harder way, then the friction will also increase, right? So here point 1, friction is a self-adjusting force. It is a correct point and it describes frictional force perfectly. Okay, coming to the next point. Frictional force is a non-conservative force. Either it is true or no. See, friction actually converts mechanical energy into heat. So here some energy is lost in the form of heat, right? So that's why we will have to call frictional force as a non-conservative force. But then you may get doubt, what is a conservative force? See, there are two types of forces. One is a conservative force and the another one is a non-conservative force. So what is a conservative force? It is that type of force wherein the energy is conserved. Best example for conservative force is gravity. Whereas in a non-conservative force, some energy is lost, like we are talking about frictional force, right? So here the energy is lost in the form of heat. So frictional force is the best example for non-conservative force. Then coming to the third point. Is this a necessary evil or no? See, friction is actually having both advantages and disadvantages, right? So what are the advantages of friction that you should understand, and what are the disadvantages of friction that you should understand, right? So what are the advantages of friction? You are able to walk, you are able to ride, you can apply brakes to the vehicle. These are all because of frictional force. So these are the advantages. Talking about disadvantages, friction has some disadvantages also, like some energy is lost, right? I told you about the frictional force in form of heat, the energy is lost, right? Like that only in machines also some wear and tear happens because of a frictional force, right? And because of that heat generation, energy is also lost. So that's why there are both advantages and disadvantages of a friction, right? So that's why if you see all the 3 points, they are correctly describing the frictional force. So which one should be the correct answer here? Option D, all of the above. So frictional force is self-adjusting force, it is a non-conservative force, it is a necessary evil. Okay, so these are the 3 important points which will be helpful in HSTR also, in CRIS also, in GPSTR also. They may ask as a descriptive question. Okay, so this important topic you have to focus only. Next, question number 2. Newton's laws of motion do not hold good for objects. What type of objects? At rest, moving slowly, moving with high velocity, moving with velocity comparable to the velocity of light. Actually, Newton's laws of motion, they hold good for objects at rest. They also hold good for objects moving slowly. Newton's laws of motion also hold good for objects moving with high velocity. But they do not hold good for objects moving with velocity comparable to velocity of light. So option D will be the correct answer here. But then what are the theories which are applicable to the bodies which are moving with velocity comparable to velocity of light? The most famous, Einstein's theory of relativity. It talks about the motion of the objects which are having velocity comparable to velocity of light. So what is this velocity or speed of light? It is 3 into 10 to the 8 meter per second. This is in fact the highest speed in the universe, we can say, right? Now this is the limitation of Newton's laws of motion. Newton's laws of motion actually applies for everyday objects like moving car, flying ball, or falling apple, or walking person, and so on, right? But that does not apply to objects which are moving to the comparably fast velocity like the velocity of light. For that we have Einstein's theory of relativity. Okay, clear, right? Next, question number 3. Which one of the following graph represents uniform motion? So this uniform motion is a very important term, and you should understand this term actually. See, uniform motion means an object covers equal distances in equal intervals of time. This is very important for you to understand. Okay, equal distances in equal intervals of time. So that is not ideally possible, but then that is the definition of uniform motion. So basically, if the body is covering equal distances in equal interval of time, then the velocity should be constant, right? So if the velocity is constant, then we call that type of motion as a uniform motion. Okay, in non-uniform motion, velocity is not constant. The distance is not covered equally in equal intervals of time. You can see the graph only. For uniform motion, you have straight line. Means, see, what is our velocity formula actually? Velocity is equal to distance or displacement upon time, right? For uniform motion, this ratio should be same every time. Then you say that it is a uniform motion. But if this ratio is not same, that is distance upon time, then it will become non-uniform motion. So velocity is not constant here. So basically, the slope of a distance time graph gives us velocity. So what is velocity? Distance upon time, right? So or displacement upon time, right? So in which of the four graphs we have displacement upon time as a slope? Displacement upon time as a slope? We have only option D. That is the graph which is showing the uniform motion. See, simple logic also is there. If we have a straight line which is increasing with the time, then it should be uniform motion, right? See, here nothing uniform is there. The graph only indicates nothing uniformity, right? Here also. So this is wrong. Here also this is wrong. What about option B graph? Here the velocity is decreasing with the time. For us, the velocity should be constant. Then only we call it as a uniform velocity. So here the velocity is decreasing with time. So this also cannot be uniform velocity. Alright. We know the formula for velocity, which is equal to displacement upon time, and the displacement is increasing with the increase in time. Alright. So equal distance is covered in equal interval of time. So that's why option D will be the correct graph for this uniform motion. Okay, clear, right? Next, question number 4. A car is moving with a uniform speed. However, its momentum is changing. Then the car, they have given 4 options. The car may be on an elliptical path. The car is moving on a straight path without acceleration. The car is moving on a straight path with acceleration. The car is moving without any acceleration. So basically here they are talking about momentum P, right? So we have momentum is equal to mass into velocity, and more accurately mass into change in velocity, right? If the momentum is changing means the motion of the car should be either in a circular way or a elliptical way. Why? Because for change in momentum, there will be change in velocity. What is there in the question? Momentum is changing. For momentum to change, velocity should change. If there is a motion in straight path without acceleration, like in point B, in that case, we cannot talk about change in velocity, because see, we have two concepts: speed, velocity, right? Speed we call it as a scalar, right? What do we call velocity as? As a vector, right? Why? Because speed is having only magnitude, but velocity has magnitude and direction. So if both things are involved, magnitude and direction, then only velocity comes into picture. If according to option B, if the car is moving in a straight path, that means the direction is not changing. So change in velocity is not possible. So if change in velocity is not possible means change in momentum is also not possible. Option C, it is moving in a straight path with acceleration. Again, with acceleration or without acceleration, velocity though is there only, right? But then because it is moving in a straight path, the direction of the velocity is not changing, which means that I cannot say that there is change in velocity in a confirmed manner. Without acceleration means the velocity doesn't come into picture at all. But if I talk about the motion of that car in a elliptical way or a circular way, the velocity will change the direction every time. There will be the change in the direction of the car. That means the velocity is having different direction. So that's why option A will be the correct answer here. Clear, right? So remember this point, that if there is change in velocity, it means that there is change in momentum. It means that the object is either traveling in a elliptical path or a circular path. Clear, right? Next, question number 5. The motion of a car along a straight path is shown by the following figure. This figure you have to observe. The car starts from O and reaches at A, B and C at a different instant of time. During its motion from O to C, and back to B. So O to C and then back to B, the distance covered and the magnitude of the displacement are respectively. So you have to find out the distance and you have to find out the magnitude of displacement. So very important concept, you have to understand this. See, in order to understand this concept, you should know the difference between distance and displacement. What is the distance? The length covered by that object from starting point to ending point is distance. But what is the displacement? Displacement is the shortest distance. This you have to remember, from starting point to ending point. Okay, clear, right? Now you have to find out that during motion from O to C and back to B, the distance covered is, so let this be D, distance. Okay, so this D is equal to OC plus BC. So what is OC? Right, from starting point to ending point, it is 60 kilometers. And what is BC? BC will be entire of 60 minus OB, right? Like this, right? I'll write it here. OC minus AB, right? So this is equal to 60 kilometer plus 60 minus 35 kilometer. So this is equal to 60 plus 25, which is equal to 85 kilometers. Okay, in the question they are given respectively, so you have to follow the order. First answer, distance, is 85 kilometer. In which of the options? Only option D is there, so this is the correct answer. So you can also save time if this type of question is asked. You can proceed for next question without calculating the magnitude of displacement, because there are no other options wherein you have 85 kilometers in the first place, in the distance place, right? So option D is correct answer. But if you have 85 kilometer in any other option also, then you should not take risk, right? You have to find out the displacement. So basically here the magnitude of displacement is equal to the shortest distance between O and B, right? So what is the shortest distance between O and B? It is still here, right? 35 kilometer. So option D, again finalized answer it is, that is option D will be the correct answer here. Okay friends, so this is how you have to analyze and understand things, and this practice and understanding the concepts will only help you in your exam. So you have to be very careful. You should not get scared by seeing the big questions or application based questions. This type of practice will only help you. That's why we are taking these classes, to help you understand the concepts in the physics. Okay. So now time for the assignment questions. So I am giving you 5 questions. You have to solve these 5 questions. You can write the answers in the comment section below this video, or if you are a paid class aspirant, you can write your answers in the Telegram groups of your batches. Okay, so the questions are like which of the following is an advantage of friction? Next, Newton's first law is also known as what? Then question number 3 is based on speed in a circular path, that you have to tell me. Then question 4 is the slope of distance time graph. See, answer for question 4 I have given in the class today. Answer for question 3 also I have given in the class today. Answer for question 1 also I have given in the class today. So if you have watched the class, with the seriousness, then you will answer these questions right now only. Okay. Then see this question number 5. A person walks 20 meter east and then 15 meter west. The distance covered and the magnitude of displacement are. So exactly same question I am giving you with the numbers different, and I am not giving you diagram here. So if you have watched our class carefully, then you should be easily answering this question also. Okay friends, so this was all about today's class. I really hope that you are taking these classes seriously, and also tell me in the comment section how many of you woke up exactly at 5 a.m. and watched this class. Okay, thank you. All the best. Bye.